Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of Stacker News Live. It's so early, Keyan. What are we doing?
I don't know. You were like, let's do it at 9 a.m. And I'm like, Jesus. And then now we're here.
Well, I'll share with the stackers. The reason we're doing it so early is because I got to put down my dog. She's like her back legs are, I don't know if I told you this, her back legs are like completely gone. So she's lived for about 12 years. She's a boxer. And she's lived a great life. So we're going to go to the place where she kind of grew up and, have like a little ceremony thing. It's like a meadow. It's beautiful. You have to like, I don't know if you know this, but you have to bring like a vet there to like do all the stuff. It's a whole thing. It's a whole process. And so we're going to lay her in the meadow and then like comfort her and then she'll go to heaven. So,
yeah, cool. I mean, that's sad, but I think it's a great way. I think it's a very nice, that's how I want to die.
Yeah.
I want someone to take me into a meadow, lay me down, pet me.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, it's the place that she grew up in. Like she was always running around there and there's deer poop there. She used to like eating deer poop. So,
oh, maybe she'll get a final turd.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So let's jump into the top 5 stories of the week on Stacker News Live. The first top story is Coinbase, Kraken, Binance, and their business models don't work anymore. This is from Millard's Head. 1,091 sats, 22 comments. Keyan, what happened with this?
Yeah. So, well, there's a bunch of new like SEC action going on where they're basically claiming staking is illegal. And a lot of this DeFi stuff is illegal.
Oh, wow.
And basically what Mallard's, and then, secure, like people are like, they're pretty, proof of stake is now, pretty clearly becoming described as a security, any coin that uses proof of stake. So Mallard's Head is basically kind of sounding the alarm. He's saying, these companies that rely on DeFi and staking as their business model to some extent are, likely threatened by the SEC's action against them. And, it ends with kind of, get your keys off of exchanges.
It was interesting because like he mentions this part where like Brian Armstrong is like headed to DC and he's like talking to like all these regulators and they're saying that their operation is in jeopardy because I guess where they turn profit is in the staking, is in poo-poo coining and all that stuff. Do you think the crypto casino model is over?
No. I mean, it won't be over until it's over, and right, Coinbase has a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I suspect they'll probably get some gray area like a bank does today to still do kind of shady stuff, and they'll operate in that gray area, in a successful way financially. I think eventually it will die as a result of the underlying technology. It's dying. The DeFi and the coins and all these kinds of things will die, but I don't think Coinbase will die as a result of regulation because it has too much power over it. It's gotten too big to be successfully regulated, at least to the point where it dies. It will always spend enough money to ensure it can continue to exist at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't like. Do you think Swan, like he mentioned Swan, Cash App, and Strike in the comments. This was from Unitimpulse. I don't know are they screwed really? I don't think they are they?
So Unitimpulse is a bit of an extremist as point of view. I'm familiar with. I mean, he's like a very hard line maxi. So he's like sounding the alarm on Silvergate, and because Swan uses Silvergate, Strike uses Silvergate underneath. River does not. They use Silvergate, I think, a little bit to hold like fiat reserves. Cash App, I'm not even sure who they use.
I think it's somebody different.
But I think he's mostly saying their custodian, anything with a custodianship is threatened. But he also says might be screwed, so it's a little bit metered. It's not
That was the highest comment here on this post. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I do think Coinbase is going through a world of hurt right now. Yeah, for the CEO to go down there to DC and meet with regulators, there's definitely something going on. Where there's smoke, there's fire. All right, the next top story is Bitcoin Optech Newsletter 238. Wow, this is the first time I've seen one of these. This is from CryptoCoin, 6 comments, 1,400 sats. Has this been the first time Bitcoin Optech has made it in the top 5?
I think so. I mean, I've been posting these since Stacker News started because these are very good. I find them very useful to me. But if you're not familiar with Bitcoin Optech, what they do is they basically summarize all the things that are ongoing in the mostly related to protocols in the Bitcoin space. They also do like releases of popular software to encourage people to upgrade in case there are security vulnerabilities. But mostly they just do a great job of providing high-level summaries of research or new developments going on in the protocol layers. So this week's was kind of reviewing some discussion that happened on the mailing list with regard to blockchain data storage. So given all the ordinal stuff, there's a lot of commentary going on about, is this an attack? Is it spam? Maybe they're storing the actual images on the blockchain. And so one of the things they mentioned here was Anthony Towns describing an off-chain kind of coin coloring, more or less, where you don't store the entire image on the blockchain. Instead, you do more of like you store the hash of the image, which is a lot of what like happens on Ethereum. But the Ordinals people really like that it's stored in the blockchain, and so I think that it is a meaningful difference. I think.
Yeah, we spent a lot. There was Bit Devs last night here in Austin. We spent like a good 20 minutes talking about Ordinals, and Buck had a really good explanation. I forgot how he framed it, but he was, or maybe it was somebody from the audience. They had mentioned that you have to subscribe to Ordinal theory, and then Buck was kind of explaining the differences between Ordinals and inscriptions, and people are getting them confused. So
yeah,
Ordinals. It was interesting. Yeah.
Ordinals and inscriptions are a different thing. It's just like inscriptions is built on top of Ordinals, but Ordinals is kind of this assumption, assumes this convention of like, let's say Bitcoin created in this block, the Satoshis in that block are ordered in a certain way. So it's kind of like, do you agree with this hallucination that all of these Satoshi should be ordered this way and numbered in this convention? If so, we can now build up to inscriptions that you own, or these ordinals that are unique. That was when we had you hosted a workshop here in Plub Lab with Rod Armor. And he basically described it, and I was like, "Oh wow, it's kind of like it is like a social layer. It is a convention, rather than, it's a protocol that's enforced with ordinal software, not a protocol that is enforced. Like Bitcoin Core does not number Satoshis. His software numbers Satoshis, and other people are like, yeah, that makes sense, and so they run the software and agree that it's worthwhile.
Yeah, it was a great little kumbaya we had. It was like we're all coping together around the Ordinals. Yeah, we can talk about Ordinals. I think the coolest thing, just one more thing on Ordinals before I know we're supposed to be talking about this. The 17,000 developers that are in that Discord, a lot of them, Justin had mentioned, a lot of them are asking how to run full nodes. So that's kind of cool. I mean,
yeah,
you're going to see some new developers, or at least some new node runners at the very least.
Yeah, it's an interesting side effect of some of these non-monetary protocols on Bitcoin is they're at least getting people more interested in Bitcoin, and I think that matters. Like I like to think of Bitcoin as purely a monetary protocol, and I'd like to keep it hyper focused on that and figuring out a way to make that better and better and better and amazing. But that might not be possible to get there without, injecting some of these other use cases that get people excited, like Ordinals and maybe Ordinals doesn't survive. It can't financially sustain itself, but it is doing doing a job of getting more users to Bitcoin. So
yeah, it also to go back to this Bitcoin Optech, I think Merch and I believe somebody else does a weekly Spaces when this gets released.
Yeah,
so if you're on Twitter, definitely check out their Twitter handle, and you can listen to them as they go over this. And it's really I've jumped in a couple of times. And it feels like a BitDevs. It's really very very in depth reporting of what's going on in the Bitcoin and Lightning space.
Yeah, I saw him report that in another Optech thread. There was a little bit more in here. They talk about making allowing op return to specify more data. Currently, it's limited. The limit is arbitrary, and people are kind of in agreement that they might as well make it larger if people are going to be doing this inscription-like thing, which is kind of a hack. And then there's a few other things that are a little more, I guess, in the weeds with multi-party protocols. Someone effectively lowering the fee rate on a transaction unexpectedly, and then related in some kind of transcript signature malleability, which is another way of kind of, I think, doing the same thing. But yeah, excellent. And then they also mention Bitcoin search.xyz. If anyone hasn't seen that yet, it's kind of a technical Bitcoin search engine, which kind of it searches through the Bitcoin Stack Exchange, I believe the mailing list, and a few other whitelisted domain names that we know has high quality Bitcoin technical content, and is a really cool thing. It's from someone who I forget what's his name, but he did stuff at Chain Code at one point.
Cool.
Yeah.
The next top story is next version of Damus will let you earn sats directly on posts. This is from Satoshi Nakamoto. 8 comments, 1,400 sats. Keyan, what's going on with William here?
Yeah, so William, I think, proposed the spec, maybe with a few other co-authors, for Lightning Zaps. This is NIP 57. And more or less, it allows you to earn sats on individual nostr posts, or notes, I think they call them in nostr. This works by using a Lightning address it's somewhat agnostic to Lightning address, but the kind of presumption is you'll have a Lightning address associated with your nostr account, and then when you go to zap a post, it'll send the money to your Lightning address. Then that Lightning address provider is expected to broadcast this receipt of payment, and that broadcast is then reflected in your nostr client and tallied up to show how many sats your posts have earned.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So right now, I think in the beta, you can just send zaps directly to notes, right? But this is going to be something completely different than that, or this
is it. But I was just describing how it works.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
I was like, it sounded more. it sounded different.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's good, right?
Yeah. No, it's a neat implement. I mean, I implemented it in Stacker News for NIP 57, and there are only a handful of Lightning address providers that implement it currently. There's Vita. There's us. I think Ellen.tips implemented it as well. And then, of course, you can have a non-custodial solution. If you run your own domain and your own node and stuff, you can figure out how to run this too. There's a reference implementation. But yeah, it's pretty nifty. We launched it earlier last week. There are some, just with nostr in general, there's a high probability you're missing a lot of messages, or you're missing some subset of messages just because the people who are zapping you might not be sharing relays with you. There might not be a significant overlap of relays. So it kind of requires these can get missed pretty easily in some cases. But I think this is a great step in that direction. This gets us like, 40, 50, maybe more percent there to like this being, really, really good. I think it'll just continue to get better as more and more support comes and we kind of figure out more of the issues around it. But I love seeing this kind of development on Nostr where it's like we have this idea. Let's figure out the minimal viable way that we can begin experimenting with it. Boom, it's out. Everyone begins experimenting with it really fast. We learn a lot. I'll be really curious to see how it develops, but it's cool so far. We set up a Stacker News Nostr account, and we've been earning a bunch of sats on the Stacker News Nostr account. So
nice, yeah. I think when I installed was it NIP5? Was that the one that let you have the verified thing?
Yeah.
So when I did that with my Stacker News account on Damus. And then when this started getting released, I just got zapped all over the place. Zaps were just coming in. And then I was like, wow, this is all coming. And then it was showing in my Stacker News account. Like it had all these zaps there. So yeah, it was rain and lightning for like the first 24, 40 hours.
Yeah, people were experimenting with it a lot.
And yeah, it was kind of cool. And yeah, it's great to see the continuous development happening. With Damus and William last night, I literally just like made a Nostr note and I was just like, is there any other iOS apps besides Damus? And then he came underneath me and he just had like the but it was funny because because now I think the biggest need for me now is to have multiple accounts on Damus. Like I need like my personal account and then all these business accounts, because right now I have to use a separate app to log in.
That's a good point.
Yeah. That's kind of the biggest thing I think at least I'm needing like ASAP is that.
Kind of like on Twitter, how you can switch.
Yeah, because I think as far as I know, you still can't use the web version of it. Maybe you can. I don't know.
I think they default to Snort now. They're just like, we're not going to work on the web version anymore. Go to Snort, because Snort is like a great web client for Nostr.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. Okay.
But I don't know if you can. I use the Albi browser extension with my key pair to log into Snort, and I don't know if Albi allows you to have multiple Nostr accounts.
Is it just snort.social?
Snort.social.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that then.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that probably solves that, but it would still be great. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it would be cool to see this in every app to be able to switch between a variety of identities.
Cool, but it's working. It's already doing it. Cool. Our next top story is Sunday survey. Are you on Nostr? This was from Jimmy Song. 41 comments. Wow, 594 cents. Let the Nostr train continue. What's going on here, Keyan?
Oh yeah, so Jimmy does these Sunday surveys. He actually messaged me on Sunday. He's like, hey, I don't think the polls are working. He was getting errors when he was trying to submit a poll.
Oh, okay.
And then I an hour later fixed it. But he usually does these Sunday surveys. He does them both on Twitter and on Stacker News. I'm curious what the divergence is between both demographics, like the demographic of Twitter users, the demographic of Stacker News users, and if there's any at all. But basically he asked, are you on Nostr in the Sunday survey? And 83% of people on Stacker News are on Nostr. And then there's about all the Nostr bears, 7.5% of them are not interested. And then there's some Nostr, I guess, what would you call them? People who are just waiting for more adoption. And then some people hadn't heard of it, which is odd because they're on Stacker News. There's usually a top Nostr post at least once a day.
Yeah, it was. It's interesting here. There's one comment here from Rich Nos. He says, I've been on Nostr for the past week. Things are moving very fast. I have to update my client Amethyst just about every day to keep up with the features rolling out. Waiting on Jack and Elon to get payments right on Twitter was a mistake. Multiple Nostr clients support Lightning addresses in your profile and nicely format invoices in your post now. TestFlight has already integrated tips called Zaps. The past 24 hours have been insanely fun with that feature rolling out. He also says not having an algorithm tracking and guiding your usage pattern makes the whole experience more organic, relaxing, and pleasant. Unlike Mastodon, this does not feel like Twitter jail at all. Just a quick summarization of how he's feeling about Nostr. I think he's right on that thing about the Elon and waiting for Jack to implement Lightning was. was probably never going to happen. I don't think it was ever even it probably was just too hard. I mean, seeing how many devs it's taken just to do all these zaps and trying to get that coordinated.
Yeah. It's, I mean, that's what's kind of one of the cool things about Nostr is it doesn't really require much permission. Eventually it will. Eventually it'll maybe get a little bit harder to get new things put into Nostr, kind of like it is to get into Bitcoin Core, but not to the same degree. But to some extent, there will be resistance to changing the protocol for Nostr. But right now, it's like if you have a good idea, people want to experiment with it and try it and see if they can make things better. I also think a lot of the people who are against Nostr right now, I think, are making like a semantic error. And they think Nostr is claiming it's like the decentralized social media platform. The way I see Nostr is it is interoperable application servers, and they're very generic, but it means that I can go to one person running a Nostr relay and communicate with them like I do any other person running a Nostr relay. And while that isn't decentralized social media in the sense where it's like this mesh, this like absolute mesh, decentralized thing on the internet. And it is a significant advancement from it's a less centralized social network. And that's like really what I think is
I think you hit it right there. That's exactly what that, it's better than what we have now as far as centralization.
Yep.
And then on top of that, the features are just better.
Yeah.
I'm biased obviously, but they're going to keep getting better. And then eventually you're already kind of seeing it. Like, at least for me on Twitter, it's starting to look like a town that is leaving, at least in regards to Bitcoin Twitter. And all the actions happening on Damus now. So much so you had to create one for Snacker News. I had to create one for Plub Lab. Like it's becoming a thing where you now have to post on, at least for me in the meantime, on both.
We're posting on both. I think I have the same feeling on Twitter. I also like that on Damus it's like defaults to a recent chronological sort, so I don't feel like I'm getting manipulated. It's just literally I'm seeing it as it is. And what's nice is
see your post though.
I know I don't really see. We might have relay overlap, but it might be the problem. But I like that I'm not getting manipulated. And what's nice is Nostr has it doesn't have much incentive to manipulate you. It doesn't. That's what's kind of beautiful about it, is the incentives are also great. Eventually they might, maybe, but
yeah, it's interesting. You can kind of whenever you take a screenshot of like a Nostr post or like a Damus post for me, and then put it on Twitter, it gets more engagement. But if you, if you just tweet out the same thing on Twitter, it gets really no engagement. It's fascinating how they both are like different. And you tweet something else on Damus, or you note something else on Damus, that gets more traction than if you did that. It's an interesting communities on both sides, and yeah, it's kind of funny. But
I love to see it. I love to see change, and this is the right kind of change.
Yeah. With the next top story, let's get into riots erupt in Nigerian cities as bank policy leads to scarcity of cash. Whoa, this is from Kenya Coin, 20 comments, 860 cents. What happened with this?
Yeah, I don't know if you've been following some of the stuff in Nigeria, but they're switching to a new...
Oh, yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah, a new cash, a new type of banknote, and they're in advance of this, what they did was limit withdrawals of cash from banks. So that was already kind of concerning to people. But now they're actually going through that transition, is my understanding, and they have too little cash, because most people are transacting in cash in like a market context or these other kinds of contexts. They don't want to use their phones or any kind of internet experience. So they're commonly using cash, but they're having trouble getting banknotes from banks because apparently there's, in addition to these withdrawal limits, there's also a shortage of the new banknotes. They haven't printed enough of them for people to be able to use them. And unfortunately, this article isn't great because it only talks to basically politicians in Nigeria. What I'd love to hear is a story of, an average citizen in Nigeria and what they think about it. They're obviously, if they're any part of these riots, they're obviously upset. But yeah, it's a thing. There's the best like part of this article is somewhere at the bottom here, where it says the central bank said the policy was aimed at mopping up excess and counterfeit naira from the system, as well as discouraging cash ransom payments to kidnappers and bandits. The policy was also to promote cashless transactions by limiting the use of cash for businesses. So it's kind of this, unfortunately it's like said here at the bottom and it's not really front and center of the article, but this is basically CBDC motivated. Is like this is a product of an attempt to get the company to transition to a CBDC that is to this point been unsuccessful.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more of this, man. I think it's going to start pumping off. Yeah, it's tough to see, man. It's tough to see people getting pushed out and this kind of chaos, and a lot of these people are just trying to live a daily life. Like they're not even trying to, save for the future. A lot of them are just trying to get access to like food and supplies and their families. It's tough to watch. It's really tough to watch.
Yeah, but it is a reality apparently, and hopefully I don't know, they won't succeed and they'll cave into allowing people to use the old currency again, or start allowing larger withdrawals.
Yeah, this is why I Bitcoin every day. My top story of the week, I think we're on to top stories. I was the top 5 that rounded out the top 5.
Hey, yeah.
My top story is sign up for the Mutiny Wallet waitlist via email or nostr at mutinyWallet.com. This is 2,214 sats, 5K boost, 8 comments from Mr. Tony Giorgio. What'd you think of this? Did you see it?
I did see it. I mean, I'm very acquainted with Mutiny, so I didn't end up signing up, but I want to check it out. I was talking to Tony last night, and he was telling me that when you sign up with nostr, what they do is they send you an encrypted DM like immediately, and then apparently they'll like follow up with you later for developments. And I thought that was so cool. And Tony is somewhat of a nostr bear.
Total nostr bear. Total nostr bear. He's pivoting.
But I thought this was really cool. I think
no, I think it was. I was talking to him last night. He understands like you can be a nostr bear, I guess, but he understands like what it's good at, right? And kind of what you were saying earlier. It's really good at keeping. I mean, if you want to like keep your identity safe, nostr is really good at that, right? I mean, it's not a DID or anything, but it can keep you somewhat private,
somewhat sovereign.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to share this. If you haven't signed up for the Mutiny Wallet, it's about to get released. I don't have an official date, but this is going to be it's going to be big, man. I'm just telling you, this is going to be the biggest wallet release this year.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really curious about where the rubber hits the road. Like, can at some point every Stacker News user just immediately when they're on Stacker News, their wallet is a Mutiny wallet underneath,
Biggest wallet release of the year, man.
Operating on a browser.
Biggest wallet release of the year. Mutiny. They're gonna do a builder day at Startup Day. One of the guys on one of the docs is gonna do a little builder release of what they're creating.
When is Startup Day? Where is it at?
It's on the 7th. No, is it on the 17th? Yeah, it's on the 17th of March, right before the hackathon. Go to satsbuy.dev. But yeah, they're gonna be here. It's gonna be fun, dude. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to see it. I've been watching and listening to them talk about this for a really long time. Really excited. No pressure.
I'm ready to party. I got shout out to the front end dev. I don't know if he's like publicly associated with Mutiny. Probably is, so I could probably mention his name, but I won't. But I shout out to this little form. I mean, it's a very simple form, but I think it works well. And I like that you allow them to enter a comment. I want a Lightning wallet that does. So they're getting user feedback when people are joining the wait list. It's someone who is thinking about people.
That's the thing that I love about this team is that they're especially the guy that you're talking about, he's so intentional and detailed, and he puts a lot of love and care in what he does. And like, it's as simple as like, you go to the main page, like he has his balance, and the balance is like hearts. Like that's like a nice touch. Dude.
The hearts are security.
I know, but it's such a nice touch, and it calls back to a prior generation that used to play like those type of games, and it informs you of things without actually telling you what it is, if that makes sense. So
it's also
nice
cute. It's just cute. It just makes you feel warm and cuddly.
It hits all the right notes that you need when you're creating this kind of stuff. The emotional attachment to this.
What's great is the whole team has like the right set of skills, and they're like all complement each other terribly well.
Long live Mutiny. What's your top story?
My top story. I don't have a top story because I just decided not to have. But there's so much meta I thought we'd just cover one meta, and that would be my top. But we released bookmarks yesterday. This was
about time.
That's right. You've been asking for this for a while.
2 years, going on a year and a half.
Yeah.
Let's just
you started asking for bookmarks maybe
everybody. You're welcome.
6 months ago. But someone posted I think it was like last week. Someone was like, I want bookmarks. Give me bookmarks now. And a bunch of other stackers are, yeah, why don't we have bookmarks? Get the pitchforks.
It was me.
He's in Austin. Go find him. And I was like, all right, fine.
Rent the Airbnb next to him.
I was like, fine. And so I did I posted a bounty, maybe for too many sats. Hey, implement bookmarks, please. It just needs this basic functionality. And Exeus, who's been contributing to Stacker News for a while, this was maybe the biggest contribution I would say he made. But he basically implemented bookmarks. There was quite a bit that I needed to like shore up in terms of the implementation, in terms of like getting the UI a little. Like right now, it's in this drop down, and then we also allowed you to get to the open timestamp now and stuff. And the copy link was something someone else asked, so I kind of merged them all together. But like that's I plan on doing more of these types of bounties because they're really nice for these small features that I feel are on some level kind of distracting to me thinking about bigger picture issues, but I think things that people really want at the same time. So
yeah, I'm seeing it right here. So I like how I don't know if you or him did it, but I like it's just right there in the front.
Yeah, that's what he didn't put it there. I put it there.
Oh, you can't show it on there,
because I'm not logged in.
But yeah, it's like profile, bookmarks, wallet. It's perfect. That's exactly. So my next feature request
is
it would be cool for our profile pages to just kind of have. I mean, I know you have it right here where it says you can comment on the profile page, but it would be cool for us to see like what we posted first, or to have like the bio and then underneath it like our posts, or just like one long thing. Because sometimes I want to go to people's profile and not necessarily comment on their profile, but to look at what they're posting.
Lurk. You want it to be easier to lurk on someone's profile.
Yeah. So that's just an idea. I don't know how you would do it.
Yeah,
maybe it's just a setting you can do where I can start on the post page instead from people instead of their bio. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a good. The profile page is one of those things that was kind of rushed into completion, probably like a year ago, and Kevin has proposed a different design for it that does basically exactly what you're describing. We're like, here's this user's like their top post, here's their top comments, here's all the like rewards they've earned.
Yeah, because basically at this point it's become a community, so a lot of these stackers I already know, or at least have conversed with them already. So like for like Darth Coin, somebody I would like to follow to see what he's posting, to see what he's commenting on, because I like Darth. And Nout, and another person, like it's like those type of people.
You don't want to miss stuff from them.
Yeah, I don't, because it changes every day. So it's just something that I'm just looking forward to from Stacker News at some point, because it's I think we have a community already at this point where it's like you can do that. But that's just my 2 sats.
Yeah, there's non-zero people on there.
What else do you got? There's a lot of other meta, I thought. No, was that the only 2?
Yeah, so the other meta was NIP 57, which we already discussed. We have our Stacker News nostr account. Check if you go to this post, you can see our in pub. we're on there. We got like a couple hundred followers already, which is pretty dope.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. There's a new. Oh no. Oh, we skipped. It looks like we skipped one that wasn't actually Meta. But we can go into that now.
Which one was it?
It's the Starbacker is building a Nostr app.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have kind of their own approach to it. They're calling it Current, which is a pretty cool name. For something that has like Bitcoin related. And they have their own approach. They have a point of view, I think, on it that's pretty cool. But Starbacker has been building a sort of, I would call it, as design wise at least, is suggestive of like an OnlyFans, not intended for porn, but a similar type of model where you can post content and get paid for it, and it's like paywalled. And so it looks like they might be switching architecturally, or at least experimenting architecturally with Nostr, which is dope. I think that's pretty cool.
That's cool. I'm gonna check it out. Is it just in beta right now, test flight, or is it where?
I don't think it's out yet. I think they're
so
beginning to work on it.
What are the
So here we go.
Shots look like?
Here's their website.
Power of Nostr, Bitcoin in your hands.
I think it's gonna. Yeah. So the one important thing is it's gonna include a wallet in the actual app rather than be like outsource that to another app on your phone like most of the clients currently do.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all this shakes out. I don't know. Damus is really in the lead right now. So
what's cool about Nostr though is it's switching from client to client is seamless. All of your data transitions. There's no. I mean, like when you're on Damus, you're reading stuff that got posted from probably like 10 different clients.
So I will say this. This is just me. Like Damus is really good at the simple things that you don't realize until you jump into like some of these other apps, and you're like, so I was checking out Iris, and then I was, of course, Daisies from Neb and stuff. And there's some things that these other apps do, but when I go back to Damus, it just feels right. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what you call that.
Joie de vivre,
maybe. But
that's what the French would call
I was
it.
playing with Iris yesterday because I was telling you about trying to do two, and like it's different. It's just different. It's
not as polished, maybe.
I don't know if I wouldn't even call that. It looks polished. Maybe I'm just used to this app already.
That could be it. You could be locked into the UI. I think this isn't. If you look at their UI here, I think this is kind of interesting. Making the post actions
on the right
hand side. Maybe you can switch to if you're a lefty, you can switch to the other side.
Hey, that's a nice.
Be kind of nice, right?
Hey, that gets me in the door.
Yeah,
check that out. Okay, cool. I think what else you got? Was that it?
I think it's it. We have a super stat segment.
Okay.
So this is a super stat segment. Anyway, we usually go through the top stackers and top spenders, but Exius obviously stacked the most. I paid him his bounty for doing bookmarks.
Wow.
Yeah, Crypto Coin after me, Edblock, Kale, Stacker News, Joy, Epzion, Mallard's Head. So a lot of top stackers this week. Merch is in the top 10 there. Spenders this week. Let's see. I spent $1 million on the bounty. SN account, BitcoinMaxiNews.com, I think had a big boost. Sam's from Stackwork, Blockchain Boog, and Verbericha, who is a dev on Snort. I didn't know that until I was watching a podcast called Nostr News.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that David King does. And Max Webster do together.
Really?
And they're
my God.
They're so bullish on Nostr.
Oh my God, that's probably the most annoying show ever.
Gianna was telling me that she watched it even.
What?
Yeah, which is cool.
I couldn't imagine Max like just talking about Nostr the whole. Oh man, it's probably so. Yeah, it's hard to watch probably. Hey, I'll check it out.
They're bullish. No, they're fun. They're fun and bullish. And but they had an interview with the Snort devs.
Oh, cool.
One of them used to work at Strike, and the other one is Verbericha. God, that's so hard to say, but I think so. He's been on Stacker News for a while, and I've seen his name, so I was like, oh my God, that's him. He's been a Stacker News user forever. And then Top Cowboys.
What? Top Cowboys.
Yeehaw! Top Cowboys is. I'm of course. I've had my cowboy hat the longest. We have quite a few.
Yeah, it's hard to keep the cowboy going, man.
Yeah, it requires dedication. The frontier will take it from you. It's not easy living in the West. I don't know, but just kind of a silly little game that some of us I think are playing. But
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Hopefully, look, Siggy's on there. There you go. Cool. I got some boosts this week. You got this is from SNL. This is from last week. SNL 54. I am John Malkovich. Love, Coob, and Car. The other one is from that was from Brunswick. The other one's from Blockchain Boog. He said zap, pew pew zap, and then Blockchain Boog also said JB, my man's. And he goes, yo Janet, what's up? Yeah, apparently
Janet Yellen.
Yeah, apparently Blockchain Boog is just commenting the entire time. We're riffing here. He goes, and then finally he said Breeze, SDK, LFG. So yeah, thanks to Blockchain Boog, thanks to Brunswick for throwing us some sats. Appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate the sats.
What do you got going on this weekend, Keyan?
What do I got going on this weekend? We have there's someone we know who has a baby coming, and so we're gonna do we're gonna do what is that called? Not a bridal shower, a baby shower.
Yeah, then we also have Ben Carmen. He's gonna do a coin join workshop.
That's cool.
Tomorrow, so we'll see if that's recorded or not. I don't know. It's gonna be up to him.
Yeah,
I don't think he's gonna say yes to that. I think he's gonna be like, "No, Car, we're not recording it."
He might do.
I'm like, that's easier for me, buddy. I don't want to record it if I don't.
Do you want me to do less work?
Do you want me to do less work? I'm cool with that.
What else you got going
on? So that, and then just a lot of work for SatsBuy and Club Lab stuff. But yeah.
Heck yeah, let's get to it then.
All right, cool. We'll see you next time, Stackers. Have a great weekend.
Zap.